A cold Monday morning. The kind of day when the sky seems to forget to rise and the city's silence weighs like an unexplained absence. The corner coffee shop had just opened, and the sound of beans grinding was the only living noise on that part of the block. And then she appeared. Her steps were too light for someone carrying so much in her eyes. She walked to the suspension bridge that crossed the city's Central Park. She wasn't old nor young. She didn't look lost, but she didn't seem to belong anywhere either. In one hand, her phone. In the other, nothing. The wind hit her face, yet she didn't blink. She just stood there, a minute, maybe two, took a picture, posted it, and vanished. Hours later, the image went viral. A young woman with messy hair, heavy eyes, and a blue coat. A blurred background, a soft mist, and a caption as simple as it was unsettling. "Would you miss me?" No tags, no location. No one knew who she was. She had just disappeared. The lights in the house flickered as he walked down the hallway, as if the place itself was struggling to breathe. He had spent the entire night reading the comments, trying to understand why that photo seemed to echo so deeply in so many people. Each like felt like a muffled scream from someone else who had vanished on the inside. The caption had become a collective wound. In a city like that, where no one looked each other in the eyes and touch had become obsolete, a single image brought back an old feeling, belonging. But only for a moment, because the next day the timeline had already moved on. What was pain became a meme. What was silence became background music for a motivational video. And she, the girl in the photo, became a statistic. He, a middle-aged man with eyes worn down by too many screens and too little real affection, couldn't get that image out of his head. It felt like he knew her, or maybe he just knew what she felt. There was something in the way she held the phone, like it was her last connection to the world, something familiar. Like a goodbye he had rehearsed 1,000 times, but never followed through with. The night he decided to search for her, the city felt dirtier than usual. The streets didn't shine from rain, but from screens reflecting on empty faces. People bumped into each other without saying sorry. Everyone was too busy pretending to be okay. And he walked in the opposite direction, not exactly knowing what he was looking for, but certain that the girl had said more with one image than most do with words. Digital traces were scarce. The account had been created just days earlier. No followers, not following anyone. Just that one photo, and then nothing. But her eyes, there was something there that wouldn't fade. He started printing the image in different filters, trying to recognize places in the background, signs, street names, any clue. And then he saw it. A vandalized bench beside a curved tree. The park. He had been there before, years ago, in a spring that felt lighter than the ones that came after. It was where he met someone who also posted pictures and disappeared soon after. Someone who said, "I'm fine," so often it stopped meaning anything. The next morning, he went back to the park. The bench was still there, but it looked older, more tired. The tree was dry. There was new graffiti. Nothing lasts, not even love. He sat down, stayed quiet, and listened. Not to voices, but to memories, as if the branches whispered fragments of conversations that never happened. The dry leaves danced at his feet, tracing patterns no one else noticed. And then he understood. She wasn't one person. She was all of us. She was the portrait of an era where presence became notification, touch turned into emoji, and love, disposable. She was the scream of a generation that no longer knows how to stay, only how to arrive and leave, leaving behind stories like digital epitaphs. As the city rushed by, he started watching, seeing with new eyes the bodies that bumped without seeing. Restaurant tables with 2, sometimes 4 cell phones, laughter being recorded but not felt. And he realized everyone was posting their own absences, in edited pieces, filtered smiles, declarations made to cameras, not to souls. A woman walked alone with a bouquet, photographing flowers she'd never give. A man smiled while recording a motivational video, but deleted voice messages from his ex between takes. A child called for her mom, who was busy showing Instagram how good of a mom she was. Everything was fake, and everything was real. The next week, another photo surfaced. Same style, same aura, another lost gaze, another cutting caption. If I disappear, would anyone notice? The account was different, but the effect was the same. It went viral. Thousands of comments, theories, emotional replies. But like before, within 2 days, no one talked about it anymore. It was a cycle, a loop of stylized pain. People found momentary comfort in seeing their own anguish reflected in strangers, but instead of healing, it numbed. Like a drug that offers relief but leaves you emptier. He, now obsessed with these traces, started mapping the posts. They all had something in common: public places, universal messages, and faces that always looked 1 second away from breaking down. He built a wall, printed images, red threads, connections no one else saw. To the world, they were just deep posts. To him, they were coded cries for help. But what haunted him most was the thought that maybe, somewhere, those people really had disappeared. Maybe the caption was literal. Maybe the vanishing was real, and the world simply moved on, like it always does with things it can't monetize. One night, the wall collapsed. A gust of wind slipped through the barely closed window and knocked everything down. Papers on the floor. Threads snapped. Silent chaos. He looked at the pile of anguish and understood. He had been trying to find others, but he was the one who had been lost. The next morning he deleted all his social media. Didn't post a final message. No drama. Just vanished, digitally. He went to the same park, sat on the tagged bench, closed his eyes, breathed, and for the first time in years, felt the wind not as something that messes you up, but as something that cleanses. A week later, someone posted a new photo. A man sitting on a bench, eyes closed, peaceful face. The caption, "I logged off, and finally heard the world." The post exploded. Likes, shares, comments. Everyone asked who he was, where he was, if he was okay. But no one left their house to find him. No one went to the park. The era of disposable love didn't end. It just got better at hiding. But somewhere, between the silence of the trees and the noise of the feeds, there are still people trying to remember what it feels like to truly feel. And you? Will you just like this video? Or will you go look for someone you lost while posting your own absence?